You're someone that constantly feels guilty for things that either you have done or you haven't done. I'm going to explain to you exactly why it is that you feel guilt, how to actually fix it, because guilt is an emotion that has its purpose, but if it's not being completed for its purpose, all it's going to do is just affect your health, make you feel bad, ruin your everyday experience of just living. It's going to make your life miserable. I'm going to explain exactly how to get rid of the guilt and that horrible stomach feeling, that weird pressure, that tension that you cannot get rid of. I'm going to explain exactly how to get rid of that. First of all, to start off, what is guilt? Now we're talking about the noun version of it. So guilt is a feeling of worry or unhappiness that you have because you've done something wrong, such as causing harm to another person. Pretty much it's a feeling you get when you know you've done something wrong or you think that you've done something wrong. The main benefit that you get from actually having guilt, it will cause you to either apologize or fix whatever it is that you did and help you not do it again in the future. But chances are most people who feel guilty, number one, have nothing to really feel guilty about. They've just kind of been programmed or have become accustomed to feeling guilty for things that literally have nothing to do with them, or they shouldn't really feel guilty to begin with, or you feel guilty because you truly did do something wrong. And feeling guilty is going to cause you to go ahead and want to fix that, so that is good. If you have done something that causes you to feel guilty and you were in the wrong, make sure you go and you fix it. And if you're unable to do so, then, forgive yourself for what you did. Make sure you don't do it again and truly learn to forgive yourself and say that it's okay, you did that in the past. But you have to understand that the past does not exist anymore. Past nor the future exists. The only time that exists is right now. Everything else is either just a memory of it, like it really is just a memory, because the only thing that exists is right now while you're watching this video at this given time. That's the only thing that exists. So everything else like that, that's in the past. It no longer exists. It is in your memory. So do not worry about it if it's not something you can change. If you are able to make it right, go and make it right. But if not, do not worry about it, because every time that you feel guilt, all you're doing is you're basically giving yourself a burden, and it really does not change much. Like, really sit down and think about it. What does feeling guilty do? Does it make the situation better? No. Giving you your desired result to feel better or to actually fix that situation? No. So if you're not able to actually fix that situation, don't even worry about it, because every time that you feel guilty about something, you're pretty much, it's like you're paying a tax to something that's not even being charged. Like, people do not care most of the time. For example, this happens to me a lot. Not that I feel guilty about it, but a lot of people, sometimes they'll do something that's a bit inconvenient, or they'll think they really upset me about something and they feel really guilty about it. It's like if someone steps on your shoe or something, they feel really guilty because they stepped on your shoe, but at the same time you're like, yo, chill out. I literally don't care about them. And they'll feel guilty about it. You don't care about it. So it's like, what are they actually getting from feeling guilty? Nothing. It's just something that they've probably been accustomed to feeling guilty and feeling awkward about that kind of stuff. So get that straight out of your head. This is not something you want to dwell in or actually be feeling all the time. It's something that has its purpose. Once it's completed its purpose, forget about it. It's in the past, move on. Because most of the time, what happens with guilt is you'll feel guilty about something, and subconsciously you'll feel the need to kind of self-sabotage or punish yourself in order to kind of make up for whatever it is that you did wrong, right? Like, a lot of times, people will do something wrong, something bad will happen to them when they're a kid, and they start to self-sabotage. They feel that because they did this, they are not worthy of feeling love or feeling good, whatever the case may be. So they feel that guilt feeling. Something that also happens very commonly is people will actually start to use guilt against you. People will either start to use guilt against you, or you'll use guilt against yourself, which ironically is a little bit even lamer, because, for example, a lot of times you'll do something, you'll be in the right, you'll be like, hey, that's not fair, or hey, that's not right. You'll tell that to someone, coworker, worker, girlfriend, boss, whatever. And then they'll use something that you did in the past as leverage. Now, if you haven't forgiven yourself, you'll feel the guilt, you'll feel bad every time. And now you are at a disadvantage, and you'll probably end up doing whatever it is they need you to do because they have that as leverage. So it's very important for you to forgive yourself. Once you forgive yourself, move on. That no longer should affect you. Easier said than done, but just start getting into that habit of forgive and forget. Don't dwell on it. because the more you dwell on it, the more real it is, and it's going to affect you on your day-to-day life when you're going about these things. It's going to be like an undertone. You're going to feel it. You're going to feel it with your energy when you're talking, when you're walking, when you're doing all these things. The guilt really starts to affect everything because your mind knows deep down inside when you feel guilty, and it starts to flow out, and you'll definitely notice a night and day difference if you feel the guilt and if you don't feel it. Actually stopping this feeling of guilt, you're gonna solve a lot, because it's not a good emotion to have and it's not good to dwell on it. And people usually stack guilt for a bunch of different scenarios. And this is very bad because it causes digestion problems, anxiety, depression. It causes you to be tense all the time. That tension can cause headaches, a bunch of bad health problems that you do not want. So just go ahead and eliminate that if you're able to. A lot of guilt is also just a mindset thing. Let me give you an example. There are some really bad people in this world who suck. There's some people that are bad in this world and they suck. But in their minds, they're actually right. And I'm sure you've think of someone who is always in the wrong, but they never seem to have any guilt. And usually the reason for that is because narcissistic people or people who think that way always think they are right. And if you think you're right, you're not going to feel any guilt. So a lot of it is purely mental. Like, think about it. These people don't have any guilt, and they'll do 10 times worse things than you do because they don't have that mental guilt in their head. That guilt does not exist for them. So most of the time, your problem isn't even that you're actually guilty. It's just that you think you're guilty. You feel that guilt. You feel bad about something you did, or you feel bad about something that has nothing to do with you, and you feel that. So keep in mind that that is a mental thing. And I want you to be conscious about this stuff. And when I mean conscious, I mean I want you to be aware of these things. Now, the reason I want you to be aware of this is because all throughout your life, majority of your problems tend to happen because you're not aware of them. If you're not aware that you're doing something wrong, or if you're not aware that something is causing something else. For example, every day you were to eat candy, right? In this theoretical, you don't know that candy causes a lot of problems because of the sugar in it. And every day you're eating it, it's going to cause you harm because you're unaware that that's happening. So once you become aware that candy has a lot of sugar and that sugar is bad for you, you will no longer do it because you're aware of it. So become aware of a lot of these things, and by becoming aware, you're going to realize and be able to do the correct things and avoid the things that are causing you harm. That's going to help out a lot with the guilt. To be aware with a lot of things that you are, meditate, self-reflect, really think about things instead of just scrolling all the time. And this awareness is going to help you solve a lot of the problems and deep-rooted issues that you usually try to solve with simple affirmation or motivation clips you try to use online. Just to make it short, remember, feel guilty, fix the problem, do not dwell on it. And if it's something that's not really your fault, then just be conscious about it, that it's not your fault, and practice not feeling bad for things that are not your fault. It's a skill. Just practice it, remind yourself that it is not your fault and that you should feel no guilt for it, because that is just a feeling that you have pretty much developed over time of just getting in the habit of feeling so guilty over something that's not your fault. It should help, release that guilt and make you feel better, overall improve your life. Peace.